was feeling the
Yeah, man. Good little jazzy. Yeah.
So did you guys get any snow?
No.
Neither did we.
It's crazy.
Neither did we.
It has snowed like twice since we've been here. Just the conditions with the precipitation felt just right, but it does not snow where we are at.
Nice. All right. Top 3. Here's your pre-podcast question. All right. What are your 3 most favorite church events that you look forward to every year? Maybe you don't even have them anymore. Maybe they were ones that you looked forward to when you were growing up.
3 favorite church events that I look forward to.
That's right.
I'll give you one right now, and it's actually coming up here pretty soon. Actually, coming up this week. Ooh, man, it's coming up this week.
Super Bowl party.
Yeah. Actually, no, it's our bilingual service. We used to have them once a quarter. Right now, we have them 2 or 3 times a year as we can get together. But where we come together with our Spanish church all together. We sing English songs and Spanish songs, sometimes separately and sometimes all at one time, where the Spanish sing in Spanish and we sing in English.
We did that our last bilingual service. That was cooler than I thought it was going to be.
That's one of the things that I just really enjoy. I think it's a pretty cool vision of the kingdom and the way it spans cultures.
Yeah, for sure.
I really liked... in the summertime, I love church camp.
Yeah, I love church camp.
I really miss, like, since leaving youth ministry, church camp is the thing that I miss most. And not that they would let me go, but it was like expected that I would go. And so for it to be really just a key part of that job as a youth minister, I really miss that. And I really look forward to SoulQuest. SoulQuest is the one thing I look forward to every year. We talk about it a lot.
We do.
I don't get to go to a lot of other conferences because there's not very many that are close. And SoulQuest kind of serves that purpose for me of just being filled and rejuvenated. And I really look forward to it. So those are probably the 3 things that I like for it. 2 of them there at my own home church and 1 kind of away. So. What about you?
I always grew up, my favorite event that I always looked forward to was the New Year's Eve party. I don't know, like there was something about putting on my pajamas, going up to the church and playing board games with my cousins and my friends and church people, seeing people from church all playing like different board games. Our young adults, I remember there was one time where our young adults were in a classroom playing apples to apples, and they were just laughing. And then there was some older people playing some pinochle and some spades and some dominoes, and just seeing like all these pockets of people in the same room playing games. And Oregon City, man, you knew how to set the tables up for a potluck. It was always the horseshoe at the end of the auditorium that just had all the food on it. Mm-hmm. I always look forward to it. I always love it. It always reminds me of that's what reminds me of the church family part of church for me is like a good New Year's Eve party, going up at 20 till and singing songs and stuff like that. It was always fun.
We always had a talent show at Memorial Road when we were there.
I always wanted to do one.
And it was always a part of our New Year's Eve deal. It was fun.
That would be fun. We have a really good stage and really good ability to do that. Have you been to Pine Tree? You've been to Pine Tree.
I have.
In our gym, we have that good stage there. That'd be a cool place to do a talent show.
Yeah, it would.
Maybe I'll try to orchestrate and do that. That would be kind of fun. Get up there and play some ukulele for it. Ukulele.
Everything just went dark on me here. Sorry. Like I had my notes over here. They went dark. Even my camera went dark. It's weird. I don't know what happened.
Oh man.
Jinkies. All right, we're good. Maybe.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Behind the Beards. And here at Behind the Beards, we'll pull the curtain back and take a look behind the scenes and reveal the things that go on in the hearts and minds of your church and ministry leaders. I am Joshua Fowler, preaching minister in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my brother, Aaron Partlow, a youth minister in Longview, Texas. We're just talking. So you guys avoided the snowpocalypse in East Texas, huh?
Yeah, it was disappointing, is the easiest way to put it. I guess, like, being from Kansas the last couple of years, like, when they say snow, like, you're ready for, 2-3 inches minimum, and then the ice that happens afterwards, and you're used to driving on it and driving slow, and you see the plows and the trucks, and then... So it was crazy. They canceled school here, and like the grocery stores were bare. Like we went to go just like get some like just groceries, and there was like nothing. It's like people thought. I think people from last year were just like concerned that maybe it was going to be the last thing.
It's a weird little habit that we have, right? I mean, I guess you can think about like the staples that you have in your house. And every little section of the country, I guess, has their own thing that might cause that. Maybe there's a big snowstorm or ice storm. Down here, it's hurricanes, but
right, yeah.
When something's on the horizon, you go and it's like there's no eggs, there's no bread, there's no milk.
Right.
Here
there was no frozen pizzas, no like out in Glade water. Oh no, it was just crazy.
Yeah, so I don't really. It's just always boggled my mind that we have this like hoarding mentality that comes about. Like, do we really think? Like, what do we really think is going to happen? And haven't we lived through this enough to realize that it's not going to? I tell you, after the 2016 flood that we had here, I had one lady who every time it rained, she would call me and she would say, "Should I hook up my trailer and leave?" Because she lived in a house, she lived in a camper in a KOA there for a while, and
really?
Because she flooded, she was just like she was terrified of. It's like you've been through rain all of your life,
right.
but it flooded once, and now then that one experience just now defines all the others. So,
well, last year it was pretty bad.
The
snowpocalypse was real, and there was a lot of people like who didn't have power for weeks. And you know what that's like. But being trapped in that cold and that snow and not being able to get out. I mean, it's amazing. It really it's amazing. Those places like Colorado and Kansas and the Midwest and places that have snow, like the infrastructure that they have set in place is pretty impressive. That they're able to just call up some people and they've already got the plow on and they're ready to plow streets and spraying and treat. Like there's people who like depend on snow, to pay for Christmas, kind of stuff like that.
Well, maybe there's a
cool.
show in here somewhere, like if we, and I get it, like especially in South Louisiana, if there is a threat of below freezing temperatures and rain, they're going to cancel school.
Right.
But we do have this, extremist mentality. What happens if it snows 3 feet, or if I can't get out of my house, or do I really need to go to Sam's and stock up on all the toilet paper I can find? Just in case. And maybe there's a show in there somewhere about how we go to like some extremes in some of these situations.
Yeah, knee-jerk reactions, right?
Yeah, and I have one of my elders likes to say, "Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater."
Yeah, I hear that one too.
And how we can often just respond in such a way that it's like, yeah, that wasn't really necessary.
Yeah, you didn't have to go that crazy.
Well, man, before we kind of get in, I've had, you know, Preston, who is kind of a regular listener, and some other kind of live comments that people have mentioned lately. I thought it would be a good time. We've not really like reset, the podcast maybe since we started. So, for those that may be joining us, maybe this is one of the first few times you found us online.
Yeah,
Kind of wondering what's going on, just to kind
welcome.
of talk about what we do and what we're here for. There's and also kind of the newest kind of direction we're going this year.
This season.
But one of this season, yeah, it sounds better, doesn't it? This season.
It does. Sounds really good.
Season 3, by the way, that's kind of crazy. We hit our 100th episode this year.
This year we'll hit it.
It's awesome. Lord willing, I should say that, right? If I'm a Christian, Lord willing.
Lord willing.
So what we're working at here and behind the beards is we're kind of trying to give people the chance to look behind the scenes of what goes on in a minister's life. We struggle like everybody else, and I think it's easy sometimes for us to look at those people that are leading really anything, and that's true in business, it's true in our families, but I think it's especially true in the church. That it's easy to see our ministers and ministry leaders as kind of a detached, bigger part of what goes on in the church. And the truth is, we struggle just like everybody else. We have the same needs and desires and wants, and we're really just regular people doing God's work. And so hopefully as we reveal the things that go on in our minds as we come up with these things, it gives us a chance to just portray your ministers in a little more human fashion, so we can not only hold ourselves accountable. I think that's a really important part of it. But also as a church, we can move forward together and not have this gap between leaders and the people that are in the churches. So that's our hope. And this year we're looking at doing a few more informative podcasts and maybe building a library of resources. Sometimes at a smaller church, you might be called to say, hey, can you do some things with our youth? Can you put together a calendar? Can you organize some things? And if you've never done that before, that can be really challenging and daunting. So
yeah,
we're hoping to put together some resources that somebody can walk in and say, okay, let's see what this looks like, and maybe build on with that. So that's our hope. That's our goal.
We also love to hear from you guys. We also love to hear from our, I know our target audience usually is just the common churchgoer, but we have a lot of youth ministers and a lot of elders and stuff like that who watch our podcast or listen to us. And if there is a topic that you think it would be relevant or something that would be interesting for us to cover, go ahead and send us you can comment, or you can send us a message through our Facebook or through our email, all those kind of outreaches. You know how to get a hold of us. If you're listening to the show, then you know how to get a hold of us. But you can send us ideas, and we would love to kind of do that as well, kind of following that theme.
Yeah, and if you don't know, it's behindthebeards@gmail.com.
Pretty simple.
Or you can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. If you want to try tweeting us, you can do that. I'll probably get the alert. Probably.
Oh, I won't. I don't even have it on my phone anymore.
That's right. You've in your social media
hiatus.
Right? Hiatus. That's the word I'm looking for.
Just Facebook. It's just Facebook.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're gonna wrap up and talking about the calendar this week. One of the things I want to talk about is when you're looking at all the things that we want to do and desire to do. Man, my mind just gets big. I want to put in all the things.
Right.
It's really hard to strike every weekend, all the things, pack it full. And there's another show in here as well. There's definitely a sermon in how we just overschedule our lives as a whole, and almost where busyness is this badge of honor. Oh, you think you were busy? Well, check out my day and check out my week. I got you beat. Busyness isn't a flex, kind of a thing, But how do you find balance when you're looking at the things that you're going to do with your people, with your kids, with your families? You have a kind of a process that you go through when it comes to that?
I really hope the mic picked that up. That was really
It,
good.
it actually did. It picked
Awesome.
up really well.
Okay, so and sorry about this. I forgot to plug my headset in last night, so I've got the baby monitor cord plugged in because that's the cord that works the best.
That's right.
So balance is. I love these TikToks. I'm really into watching TikToks. I enjoy taking a couple minutes and doing that, and then getting off. Like, I like to set a little timer so that I'm not into the algorithm. But there's this one of this guy, and he's super patient, and his entire thing is balancing stuff. So he'll get a whole bunch of just random stuff. He'll balance it all. He'll use his body and he'll balance it. But you'll see him fail and fail and fail and fail and fail. And then he'll finally get it and be able to hold it for over a minute. Kind of this idea. And when I think about balance, I think about like how you have to really focus and be very intentional about everything and everywhere where everything is when you're balancing. Whether you're a kid and you're leaning back in your chair and you're balancing, or whether or not like you're a waitress or a waiter and you're balancing those trays. Like, you have to be really intense on where everything is placed and where everything is at all times. And so keeping that in mind, when I think about balance and balancing for my youth ministry schedule, I have in my office, I have a calendar, a big year-long calendar, and everybody has this, right? A big year-long calendar with all your youth events on it, right? And then I got the Gmails with all my youth events on as well. But I think something that's really important for you as a church member, as a staff member, or whatever, if you're a planner, is to more importantly keep that. I'm gonna look ahead and make sure it's not on the notes, but keep a church-wide calendar, right? So if I'm doing youth ministry, I have my calendar, but then I also look at a church calendar. So, for instance, I had this really cool idea, this really awesome idea. I wanted to get together with my teens and some young adults and some senior adults, do a banquet, kind of do a Valentine's banquet, talk about teen dating, and kind of what the world says and what kind of the Bible says when it talks about how our relationship should be. I wanted to do it for the end of February. Youth schedule looks great. It's pretty wide open. End of February, we don't have a whole lot going on. I go over to the church calendar. We've got 2 children's ministry events. We've got a we have a married event that's going on all weekend. Mm-hmm. And then we have a couple other events going on. Sorry. And I look at that and I go, okay, well, does that really offer anything for my youth? No, not necessarily. They could attend and be a part of the children's ministry thing. But their parents are involved in all of these other things as well. And so it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's a great idea. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put it on the shelf. Does it have to be in February? No, it could really be done anytime, even in March. But I'm going to put it on the shelf because I looked at the big calendar and I realized that there was a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I also find that like sometimes it's easier when people are already coming up. So we want to do a family day, and it would be really cool to do it on a Sunday night. Like, I would agree, it would be really cool to do it on a Sunday night. However, like, what's the hard part about Sunday night? Getting people to come back up to the church, church building. And that sounds bad, and that sounds harsh, and it is. It is a little bit sad that we have a hard time doing that. But our small groups are very successful, and they meet on Sunday nights. So we'll do it on a Wednesday night because people are already accustomed and already have it blocked out in their schedule to come on a Wednesday night. So we'll just shake up our Wednesday night service and we'll do something different on that Wednesday night. And so there's this balance of an understanding and knowing that people hopefully are being ministers in the other things that they're doing, whether it's sports games or stuff like that they're going out and they are living this example. And so finding that balance and just knowing, you can just tell when they've got too much going on, and finding and maybe since I've been talking a lot here, finding that balance between, are we doing just a bunch of stuff or are we being really intentional with the stuff that we have?
Well, we have that in our family too. We have a family Apple account, And so, yeah, thank you for having the family.
Yeah, congrats.
But the kids have their own calendar. Heather has her calendar. I have my calendar, and then we have a family calendar. The kids don't necessarily need to know what's going on in my life, but I am linked to their calendar. So if there's something that they need to be known, I can put it on their calendar. And there are things that the whole family is going to be at, and so that goes on our family calendar that everyone has access to. But that helps us really look and see, okay, who needs to be where at what time.
Right.
And it's easier now that my kids are older; they can drive themselves places. I don't have to take them places anymore. But at the same time, I don't want to put that same busyness on them. And sometimes I think we take that for granted in the church. We just put things up and don't think about what we're adding to when it comes to that kind of chaos. The other part of balance is what's the stereotype of the youth minister?
Right. Yeah.
You're the glorified babysitter, right?
That's right.
The youth minister just gets around, he takes them and he does all the fun stuff. But if the youth minister is preaching, we can kind of tell our brains to take the day off because he's not really a deep thinker. That's the stereotype. We know that's not true, but that's the perception that a lot of people have.
When I preach, it's a little true.
I don't buy that. And you have stereotypes for the preacher as well. So, the preacher's here. We must be having a devotional because the preacher always has a devotional every time he comes.
Well, it must be on our best behavior because the preacher's here.
Right. Like, we're in trouble now.
No fun allowed.
But there is a balance. It's okay for us to have fun activities. It's also for us okay to get together and have deep study and devotional at times. And it's also good for us to have service and formation kinds of activities that are going to strengthen relationships or put us in a place where we're serving others. And sometimes those can overlap, but they don't have to. Just because we're church people and getting together doesn't mean that we can't have fun. Also, it doesn't mean that our fun things have to come with a devotional. There's no problem with that. But if we get together and everybody's having a great time, there's no reason for me to stop all of the stuff that's going on, all the fun and all the fellowship that's going on, for me to tell you a 5-minute devotional that you've probably heard 25 times and sing a song and have a prayer just because we're together.
Right.
That it's okay to do those things. It's okay to get together and just watch a football game or a basketball game or a movie.
Right.
And it's also for us so finding that balance, I think, is really important because we're living life together, right? We're developing a community that lives the whole life together. And what I want people to see is that the Christian life isn't singularly focused. It's abundant, it's full, it's overflowing, and we can do life together in a robust way.
Well, and I think when we don't find that balance, and every church event has to be a devotional, every church event has to be like a super deep, Christian conversation, that what we end up doing is we end up segmenting our faith, and we end up segmenting our church life. That, hey, yeah, we have this Super Bowl party, and I'm gonna go to part of it because I really want to go sit and I want to watch the game, but instead, we're just gonna do this devotional the entire time, and so there's that balance of, no, we need to celebrate our life together and how we live our lives, and we need to find that balance. We need to, you can have just Christian fun, right? You can just get together and hang out and have fun.
And then when they authentically,
that fellowship and that relationship building,
and then when they authentically come together, and because we have those times where we have fun activities that are outreaching and service oriented, and they also have a study and discipleship element to them. But when they come together in an organic way and they just kind of flow, then they become so much more powerful because they're not forced.
Right. And
you have people who are here. You asked the question, before, when they're pre-show, of what's one of your favorite things to listen to, or that you look forward to. We had our trunk or treat this past year. Kind of just came together, spur of the moment. We've always had a trunk or treat, but I think Halloween fell on a Sunday night, and so we're gonna have trunk or treat here. And I I paid like $15 or $20 to put it out on Facebook. The Facebook ads. We had a chili cook-off. So we had a whole bunch of chili laid out, and the Saints were playing the Buccaneers that night, and so I had a TV set up, and I had the Saints game on, and we had the best time. And we had a really good turnout from the community, and a lot of people showed up, and it was like, hey, so I had a trunk or treat on Facebook, so we're here. We probably had 10 or 11 families from the community that came in, and most of them stayed. We had cornhole out, and a couple of guys kind of walked up, and they had their kids there, and they're like, oh, this is trunk or treat. And I was like, yeah, we got chili over here. And they're like, awesome. And the guy's, looking around, he's like, is that the Saints game? And he's like, yeah, the Saints game is on over in the corner. So he was like, you guys take all the time you want with the cornhole. I'm going to watch the Saints game.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's just, but it came together in such a natural fashion,
right?
That it just felt right. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we got to leave room for those things to occur. That I get to my plan, I get to my calendar, and I don't have the flexibility to move with the way people are pushing it, and maybe the way the Spirit is kind of pushing us to direct some things. So balance is really, really important. Mm-hmm. Random activities as opposed to repetitive activities.
Yes.
I love repetitive activities. It's selfish of me, but you know why I love them? Because I've got a template. All I got to do is change the date.
That's right. I know what we're doing. It's easy peasy.
You see any benefit to having something like regularly on the schedule as opposed to just throwing things in at random times?
I think there is a benefit to having a balance of both. I'm a real fan of how I've been doing Sunday nights. I do Sunday nights with our youth group twice a month. So second and fourth Sunday. I say the second Sunday we will do a big activity with a small devotional. Mm-hmm. The fourth Sunday is we'll have a large devotional with a small activity. So one's more focused on the fun and the activity and just getting together and having fun, and the next one's more focused on spending time in the Word and really studying and breaking off into small groups and kind of building those relationships. Same thing with my Wednesday nights. People always ask me, hey, do you do a curriculum? What do you do on Wednesday nights? And I say, yeah. That's what I do. I do everything. I kind of float around. I purposely don't fully plan out my Wednesday nights like months in advance. I might plan if we're doing a series, I'll do a series or something like that. But I want my Wednesday nights to be flexible because there might be a Wednesday night where I just go, man, my teens seem really stressed. Let's wipe the schedule. Let's turn the lights down low. Let's get in there and let's just sing some songs and praise. Or, man, they seem really wound up. We're going out to the pavilion and we're playing dodgeball. They need to throw some balls at each other to get over these emotional feelings that they're having right now. Just like things like that. Like sometimes, like teens just need that. Like sometimes they've had a really stressful week of school, or they have a stressful week of school. They've got finals, they've got tests that are coming up, and they need to go to a place where they can, like, I'm so mad at math, I'm going to throw this dodgeball at Aaron, and I'll get in there. Because, I've never been more scared in my life than when we took teens. I don't know if you were there. I think you were there when we took teens to Manhattan and we played paintball.
Yeah.
I played one round. And I got pinned down in a spot, and there was about my own team even was shooting, and there were paintballs going over my head all around me. And I was like, I'm done, because this turned into let's hunt Aaron, kind of a situation. So they got one round of that.
Rules out the window.
Rules out the window. No teams. It's all about just finding and shooting Aaron with a paintball.
Well, one of the things we have to keep in mind when it comes to those repetitive activities that come about, whether they're monthly but they're always on the calendar, is there's an expectation that comes with those. I always go back to the story that Josh Jones tells about the big event at the place.
Oh yeah, the big event at the place.
The big event at the place, and he said we did the same thing, but we changed it. We were doing the exact same thing, but we changed the name. and nobody showed up. And so because there was an expectation that came, and the name brought the expectation.
Right.
And so sometimes I think we can maybe outthink ourselves when it comes to those kind of things. But there is some stability that people really look forward to. Out in the world, I mean, there's chaos, right? Everything is changing. How many times does your phone say you need to update? And every time it updates, something moves. Windows always gives an update, and when it updates, nothing works right.
Don't even talk about Windows 11. I'm so frustrated.
I am too. Mine
that I
updated
accidentally updated my laptop, and now you can't swipe over to cast.
No.
You have to I had to Google a million times to figure out what the hotkey was. So I hit Windows K so that I can cast to my Surface thing.
I had to completely reinstall my Office printer because every time I would print something from my computer, it would give a functional hard drive error on the computer and completely shut everything down in the office.
It's cool that yours sees your printer. Because mine's what's that? What's that thing over there? Oh, what's going on? I don't even want to be near that.
Yeah. So, we're out here in this world and there's just all kinds of stuff that we just can't count on. And so those activities that are repetitive that people know, I know when I come here, this is what I get. Those have some real value and some real benefit. And it's easy for me to kind of say, hey, I'm going to shake things up a little bit. And maybe my people don't need things shook up all the time. Maybe they need to know I'm coming and this is what I'm going to get when I get there. And I'm good with that. And that's why I'm coming. And,
I learned a good lesson about how just learning about stress and talking about church stress as a whole. And there's a good way to manage and to realize what causes your church stress. Holiday season causes church stress. If your pastor leaves, that's a huge stress moment for your church. Elder selection is a huge stress moment. And so changing an event or getting rid of an event or allowing an event to die off, that causes a little bit of stress. And so using that as a concept of your stress management and kind of your balance when you're thinking about balance, thinking about when is it a good time to add something, when's a good time to take away, because a lot of times church ministry, when it comes to event planning and stuff like that, kind of feels like playing Jenga. You're taking things out and you're adding things to it, and you want to make sure this tower doesn't crumble down and fall.
And it's so fragile sometimes.
And sometimes it's really fragile. Sometimes a piece that you think nobody cares about is something that someone's grandmother back in the 17th century started doing at the church. And so this is rooted in who this church is, kind of an idea. Or sometimes something that you think is a big deal, everybody's like, no, I wish we would just stop doing that. Cancel it. And sometimes the loudest people is not the majority, it's the minority, but they're the loudest. And so having a good grasp of what it's hard to get there. It's hard to get there. It's hard to know that, but it's our job. And especially, it's our job in ministry to kind of really try to have an understanding of that and to have those conversations with people.
So funny story about that. When I got to Goodwood, one of the things that I really, really didn't like was our pulpit. It was massive.
Right.
I mean, it was probably 2 feet wide on top, and then it had another 2 feet on the sides. And it was just huge. And for me, it was a giant obstacle.
Right.
When it comes to communication. One of those little subconscious things that I don't think people recognize is when you have something big between you and the people you're talking to, it's hard to communicate. And so I was here for a while, kind of felt it out. It felt like one of those things that was really going to create issues. Because I know it had been there for a long time. And so I moved it out one day. I didn't tell anybody. I just moved it, but I didn't move it far. I didn't even move it off the stage. I moved it into the closet over on the corner of our stage area.
Right.
Just in case somebody really threw a fit and really had an issue with it, I could just pull it right back out. And I put a little podium there, and nobody said anything. And then the next week, nobody said anything. And the next week, somebody said, you know what I really don't like about that new pulpit you have up there? Like when I get up there to lead the prayer, everybody can see my knees knocking.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know, but people made comments and they noticed it, but nobody had any issue with it. And I was like, man, I really expected to get some pushback from that. And it never came back. It's now back in the garage waiting to go to somebody that really wants to use it. And so it's just kind of that thing of, you know, I'm anticipating some pushback. Oh, I didn't get it. But then there's other things I've done where change one little thing and it's like the whole world's fallen down. I was like, I'm sorry. I'll put it back. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be a little simpler this way, but
that's always the fun part, and maybe our audience will get this too. Like if you inherit the mantle from somebody to take over, like running an event, it's and when I got this when you start a new job, so I moved to Longview and we started at Pine Tree. The first couple of weeks, I had so many people walk up to me. I don't. My dog is like freaking out this morning. So many people walk up to me and been like, "Are you gonna do something to the hub? It really needs paint. It really needs a makeover." I'm like, "How often do you spend time in the hub?" Well, I've never seen them in there, but the hub really needs a makeover, Or, oh man, you're the new guy, so feel free to. You don't have to do this event anymore, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, here's the freedom to not do what we've always done, and to do something different. So it's always kind of interesting when you inherit that mantle or, and I always think like a back to school event or something like that. Like, oh, now's the time that we can shake it up and change it because we got new blood doing something.
Just not senior day.
Just never senior Sunday. Do it the exact same way every year. Never change a thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I need to get on the ball planning our senior Sunday. I know you're like, well, that's not till May, but now's the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that like really creeps up and happens in between now and May that you can like forget. So here's your reminder, youth ministers.
Get on senior Sunday.
Get on senior Sunday. Send an email today to your parents about it. May 15th.
I get it's easy for me to get in this mindset of trying to create events and activities that everyone will be at.
Yeah.
And
that's accessible to everybody and appealing.
Yeah. And expecting everyone to be there.
Yeah.
And that's the one part of my mindset I've been trying to really change.
Right.
It's like, this is going to be a good activity and event, and those who come will get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And those who don't have other things and other places they need to be, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the next time, those people who stayed away the first time might be able to come and get something out of this.
Right.
The other people might have something else going on. But providing avenues for every part of our church to come in and engage.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for me to focus on marriage and family. It's what I do. It's a part of my life coaching. It's a part of my life experience. But I have to remind myself that there are also some seniors who have widows who aren't in that stage of life anymore. There's some young people who are single and maybe don't connect very well with marriage and family activities. And I have to provide avenues for all of them to engage and find value in the life that we're leading.
For sure.
So, again, I think that's a part of that balance that we started with.
Right.
But there's an unrealistic expectation that I'm going to encounter everyone exactly where they are with every event that we plan. And that's just not realistic. So what if everyone can't make it? Everyone can't make it. We're going to be okay. And
that's right.
Don't change it. Don't nix it. Don't shut it down. But take what's there. And roll with it. That seems to come up, more often than not when we talk about these things. Minister to who's in front of you, and noisy Bella. Come on, man.
That was a Samuel.
Oh, that was Sam
sneaking in to get his Pikachu.
I think one of the best kind of I think it was in a conversation on Clubhouse one time, and we were talking about ministering to who's in front of you. and someone said, yeah, you might be really equipped to do something somewhere else, but if you have to step over the people God has called you to minister to someone else, then you're missing your calling.
Yeah.
And that's been a very real, eye-opening comment that just says, look at who's in front of you, minister to who's in front of you. God has them there for a reason. He has you there for a reason.
Yeah.
And don't diminish the fact that there's people there that need to hear from you, even if it's just in your presence.
For
And
sure.
people know when you're present physically, but not mentally and emotionally. So
That's true. All right, behind the beards moment today, I think is when you. I think the key word is balance, and I think having that idea, engaging. So if you are a churchgoer and you're involved and you get to plan an event, talking with your church staff and finding out when the best time to plan an event. You don't have to hand over responsibility or give them more work to be done, but to just be able to approach them and say, hey, when would be the best date to do this? Give me the thumbs up and I will plan it and I will run from it there. That would be a really cool thing to kind of happen instead of just saying this works best for me, asking, hey, what works best for this church as a whole? In the same way that you would plan an event for your family, you don't just go, well, I'm free this weekend, so I'm going to plan it this weekend. But you check with, your kids to make sure they don't have games, to make sure that your husband or your wife can be there, in the same kind of venue. So finding that balance, keeping your finger on the pulse of the congregation to see when the best time to do said whatever is, but also having that balance and knowing when it's okay just to have fun and when it's good to really get into a deep conversation, or when it's good to do a little of both. There's a right time for all those kind of things. As the Bible says, there is a season for everything. So we want to thank y'all for being here today. We really appreciate you. And I also want you to know that we really love you guys. We love this podcast. We love getting on and recording it. We love our live chat. I appreciate y'all being here so much. And we want to remind you of something. Don't grow weary in doing good. Galatians 6:9. Man, this is a verse that over the last 3 seasons has just really been mind-opening for me. Like it's just so powerful. This world is messy. This life is messy. Church work is messy because we got messy people. But we love Christ, and so we allow Christ to use us to do something different, something good in His name. So don't grow weary in doing good. I'm Aaron, and this is Josh, and we will see you next week on Behind the Beards.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
Post show.
I still can't believe we found that song. Like,
Neither can I.
That song gets better and better every time I listen to it.
I wanna try to create some GIFs for our podcast too. So like, we'll have another transition like Behind the Beards moment. So I'm gonna look into that and see about being able to record and make those GIFs. Lauren's been working and has done a couple GIFs before, so maybe she can do one where our beards fall off, and something comes up. So we'll see.
So you can make something that is, as long as it's visually and like you don't want a big gap when I rip it out to the podcast. So as long as it has something sound related that goes with it.
Yeah. Did you not just hear me sing?
I did.
That's
but
what
sometimes that can be metaphorical as well.
Oh no!
I didn't know if you literally wanted your.
I wanted it to be literal, and I'm gonna harmonize, and it'll be like 3 voices. Behind the Beards moment. Behind the Beards moment.
Make sure you get your uke in there too.
I will. Brought to you by. And I'll switch it up. We'll do brought to you by Aaron. Brought to you by Josh. Brought to you by insert name here.
I still need a sponsor, man. I'm disappointed with our shirt people. I need to call them again and see if they can get us on as an ambassador. I would I would love to have, even if it's just something.
Now
I
is
would
the
love to
time.
say-
I think this month and next month is reapplication.
I would love to just be able to say, brought to you by.
That's right. We're sponsored by Sunday
don't
Cool.
even-
They gave
I don't
us
care if they pay us. Just give me a T-shirt,
just one T-shirt,
2 T-shirts.
2 T-shirts. We'll sign the contract.
That's right. Yes, like the Dr. Pepper dude.
Like
That's the sweet
Dr.
line.
Pepper do.
It's the sweet one. It's the sweet one.
That'd be cool.
That dude is kind of creepy though.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't
Did I-
watch television.
His name is Little Sweet,
Little sweet.
and he's
It's a good
you
name.
know a shrunken character that has this bright red Dr. Pepper colored hair, and he always shows up in these weird places, and
It's
kinda
a
creepy.
sweet one.
I did see. Have you seen the Mayhem commercials? State Farm.
I love the Mayhem commercials.
Have you seen the one with the TikTok? Like, so there's this person on the side of the road recording a TikTok, and the guy's distracted because he's watching the TikTok, and then he runs into the back of a garbage truck, and the guy's like, "This TikTok's going, or this video's going viral. It's going to get tens and tens of views."
Tens and tens of views. Yeah. That's like my TikToks. I logged on the other day and I was like, ooh, I got 5 likes on one of my videos. 240 views on one, but 5 likes.
I don't really care about TikTok, but they make it video creation is so easy in that app.
Oh, and it's fun. It's fun to create videos on there. Like, I don't care if anyone sees them either, but they're just fun to create.
But I take them and I'll use them in other platforms just because it's so easy to
That's kind of what I've been doing too. I have a lot of drafts that I don't publish. They're just fun to make. So,
yeah,
all right. Goodbye,
Okay.
post show people.
that's right.
Love you. Get a life.